Okay, welcome to Flippin' Awesome Coaching, everybody. We are excited today. We get to have a special guest. Claire.e.hallinan is with us today. She has a book launch coming up, and her book, she wrote it with her daughter, Chelsea, which I think is just adorable. I want to write one with my kids. I don't know that they'd want to write one with me, so I think it's cool that she even wants to write one with you, but she is launching a super awesome book. It's called the ChampionSlip. It's a young gymnast guide to becoming a fearless champion on her own terms, which I think is awesome because I think a lot of athletes feel like we have to do it on the coach's terms. So I really love the way you guys worded that. But today, essentially, I'm going to hand this over to Claire. Claire's going to explain the book. I read through the whole book. It's beautiful. So I'm excited for people to get this. But you guys who are not gymnasts, this is so applicable to everybody. You coaches, this content is really good for everybody. There's a lot of mindfulness. Claire has a lot of training with mindfulness, and maybe you can explain what kind of training you have. And she put some of those tools in the book, and there's a lot of great ideas of what to do with your emotional management as you read through this book. Claire, take it away. Tell us everything, why you wrote the book, and what you think is going to be really helpful for all the athletes out there.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. Well, my name is Claire.e.hallinan, and my background is a elementary school teacher. And in my career, I'm dealing with the young people every single day, and my professional training is not only academics, but also social, emotional part. And as years goes by and my family grows and my children grow, and I was interested in my own children's age group as well following. And, they started doing sports and how they do. And as a parent, I wanted my children to learn something they can sustain for life. And at the same time, if they can be successful in sports, we wanted to support as well. And however high they could go.
Sorry, Claire. I was going to say, what do you define as success? Because I know that you probably have, I noticed that you had a quote that said, don't quit, but you also just do it, which I think is beautiful. And that's on your own terms. Tell me what you think of success.
Right. So when my daughter started gymnastics, instantly people think about, does Chelsea want to go to the Olympics and college gymnastics? And so as students, do you want to go college or they want to be a doctor, something like that. And, I was not really feeling fit on those things, but I thought it was a really good goals. But however, I did not hear her saying that. And, pretty soon, close to the teenage years and, struggling with the injuries and the sickness and not being able to go to practice and not hearing what she really wants to do, I started thinking, does she really want to be the Olympic gymnast or the collegiate gymnast? And is that really her goal? And maybe that might be the parents or adults or the, people who's watching her, because she does a really great job in the sport. And the teenage years started, and then I really didn't categorize as her teenager. She is always my daughter, and I am confident I understand her. However, I struggle a bit about communicating interesting year of human being. And as a parent, it was really hard for her to be suffered by pain and not be able to go to the practice she wants to go. But interestingly, during that time, she made the essay as a school homework assignment. That's her part of the book. It's called the ChampionSlip. And even though she didn't tell me up until that time, she just brought the computer and, Mom, this is my essay I'm going to turn in. And ChampionSlip, that sounds really interesting.
Yes, it did. Yeah. When I read the
Yeah.
title like that, that is so clever.
Yeah, and you know how, so what is this about? And Mom, I want you to read and, edit before I turn it. And I was like, sure. And I was reading, and it was all about her first meet, came back from a 2 consecutive years absence from the meet. And she was prepared double on the floor and landing. And the practice was good so far, and warm-up was good. And the coaches, one coach was prepared to support if she was not ready, but as he saw her doing well in the warm-up, he kind of ignored and even looking at something else. And in the meantime, Chelsea fell on the ground like really hard.
On her head?
The head, yeah, like
Goodness.
bang, bang, like, the gymnastics fall happens really, really quickly, right? And it was a really traumatic fall. But she just got up and started doing routine again, and she completed a whole floor. And that was a story, but nobody thought she was going to complete the routine, but she did it. But she wasn't realize how it happened. And she came to me after the meet, and we worried about her pain, but her pain was really significant. However, her emotional pain was huge there. And everybody's expecting her really high level of achieving, and then showing the drastic fall like that was really huge for her. And she was writing about that. And that ChampionSlip came from that experience. The details in the book, but what she wanted to say is, this fall doesn't define me.
That's beautiful.
Because, yeah, this fall just the lead to be my championship. And I still don't know what her immediate goal, but as she takes that fall as a learning, and she's learning the mental strength is important in this sport. And I thought that was huge thing. So if that is her goal, I totally support that. So since then, I kind of tweaked my approach. Instead of how was gymnastics practice today. So what was high point of the practice?
You don't ask those kind of questions. Is that what
Yeah. So what was a difficult time for you to deal with, and really specific, and make sure she enjoy.
You ask her specifically, hey, what was your high point? What was your low point? Okay. And as parents, here, what can we ask our athletes that will help them? So I appreciate that.
Right. So then that's what she wants to talk about. And really specific. And my bottom line is, I want her to be joy in the sport. Instead of, oh, I don't want to go, or I don't want to do anymore, or something like that. So that's why I just want, I just started thinking about everybody else. I want every athlete to think the falling is okay. Like mental block happens, and anxiety happens. It's really, gymnastics is really cool sports, but it's really intense. I know like how physically, mentally tough sport. And that's why when you succeed, you feel really great, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, as an adult, I want to support, not to quit. Um, Stick in this sport gives you something at the end. So that's what we can say as an adult. But going through the young body and young mind is really difficult.
Yeah.
So I thought, mindfulness could help those athletes to ground themselves and appreciate how important it is to aware of each moment. Each moment, if we pass today, today doesn't come back.
Right. Right. And so is that what got you, because of your daughter's experience, is that what got you interested into the mindfulness trainings? Is that kind of where you stem from that? And you don't focus so much on college and Olympics, you focused on her momentary joy, what's happening in the moment, how are you feeling? Let's make sure you're grounded. Is that what you're saying?
That is that her book actually triggered because I started mindfulness training like 4 or 5 years ago, and instantly I thought, oh, we can use mindfulness among athletes. So
Yes.
I asked the coach in the gym, and I kind of started volunteering, mindfulness like 5 minutes,
Nice.
and that I was too excited to do, and the result was not really well received. And
It's a
that, yeah,
big shift, right? For people that,
yeah,
because you can't have a tangible result. Like now I can hold 20 seconds of a handstand instead of 10. With mindfulness, you don't see those measurements so quickly, right? And it's all
absolutely.
and it's all about a feeling, and it's hard to go inside somebody and see what they're feeling. So keep going. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's one of those things where you have to show people, hey, this is something important, even if you don't see it on the outside. This is going to add value to the whole. Anyways, I have a passion with this too. Go ahead, keep going, Claire.
Yeah. So back then, I was not really authentic enough because I was practicing myself and I had a tool, but I was just a beginner. Beginning. That was my actually learning experience. But I still wanted to share to the athletes. But as my training goes, and one point I really want to share what I have, because mindfulness practice, like you said, mindfulness doesn't um, show that the result instantly, everyday thing. And I was thinking, how can busy athletes, most likely they are going to school, they have schoolwork as well, have a time to practice mindfulness. And that is a thing I really wanted to teach young people. And young people can be really lazy too. And 4 hours gymnastics plus school, they are exhausted. And I thought, well, that is a really great thing because mindfulness can relax you and focus on you. And if you you have a going through the strategy of putting this habit into their lives. It's like, when you're thirsty, you go to, the faucet and get the water and then drink. And if your mind wants to, feel yourself, you just sit and breathe, something like that. If this practice be in their own habit, how important is that?
Just like
How,
their drills. They do drills.
yeah,
It's going back to the basics, but we never knew that this was such an important basic.
exactly. And we all know the scientists already proven the prefrontal cortex is a part you have to use to make a best decision. Not amygdala. Amygdala just creates a chaos. And that's when, people are like, oh, I can do this. And I'm afraid of this because I fell yesterday and I don't want to slip again. And things like that. Always people worry about what happened in the past and then worry about something hasn't happened yet. In the future, if you ground yourself right in here with using prefrontal cortex, you can focus for what you have to focus. You don't have to focus on what you're worrying about.
Right, right. I 100% agree with you. So just because of time, I want to hear a little bit about your book. And then Claire, I'm going to see if you want to come back on and do a couple specific mindfulness trainings, maybe on
Sure.
podcast for people so they can see what it's like. And
Mm-hmm.
it would be beautiful for you to give us a few examples in a future podcast for people to really experience it. And I know that's kind of tricky through audio, but there's a lot you can do through audio.
Sure.
But before we're done, I really want to be able to help promote your book, which I think is just a beautiful book. And it does give people an insight to the prefrontal cortex. You talk about that. You talk about the instincts, the fear, the amygdala, and you talk about a very, very clear path of what happens when they think one thing. If they think this, and yes, they should go this way. It's very direct. And I think it's a beautiful outline of helping your brain know where you're at in the book. It's a great, so can you just tell us a little bit about your book? It launches in just a couple days.
Sure. So there are some tools for, introduction to the mindfulness. Mindfulness is to be aware at this moment.
Yeah.
So for the gymnast to do, I am explaining how step by step, day by day. Day one, you can start actually 1 minute meditation practice, and you get to learn how to do it. And then that it's a process. Second day, a little bit increasing the time or the activity challenges, and there are some choices you can do. So you don't have to be stuck with one boring exercise. So, and movement exercise as well. And I am suggesting to do this journey with the partner, accountability partner.
Yes.
So accountability partner, and the athletes can talk about it and how does this week go, and you have a measurement number 25%, 50%, 75%, 100% completion, and you can compare and reflect session with your partner.
Yes.
And that's a main part. And number 3, I created resilience circle. When you are mindful and grounded, you can go through where you are right now in the practice. So you can, even if you fall or, like anxiety comes up, you can stop and I am right here. So we can move to the next. And number 4, Chelsea and I created the flow chart.
Yes.
Yeah, flow chart is, I really liked it because it's really super specific. Like, for instance, 1 week before the meet, the very first, the topic question, and yes or no. If it's yes, some suggestions, talk to the coach, or, you might be forgetting your food, eat some food and think about that later, or something. But really, really silly, but really actually important. When you're really worried about something else, you forget about fundamental things you have to do. But that really helps guide you through being clear mind and focus stage. Those are the things in my book I want you to learn.
Yes, and it's very clear. You give a great pathway for any athlete to follow. So Claire, a couple of things. So they can get this on Amazon in a couple of days, right? February 27th is when it's launched.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And is there another way? Do you have a website? Do you have anything where if they wanted to ask more questions, they could reach out to you?
I have email address. You can directly email me. That is Claire.e.hallinan@gmail.com.
Okay. And I could put that in the show notes, so we have that. So if they have questions about athletes and mindfulness, you're a great resource. You've been trained. You have a lot of background in mindfulness now at this point.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If there was one thing that you could leave with the athletes as far as the importance of taking time to be still, to have some grounding, to do some mindfulness, what would be either one tip, one tool, one thing that you would share with everybody just to leave us with?
Okay. So one thing is a 1 minute mindfulness practice, breathing exercise. It is going to breathe in through your nose, 2, 3, and pause, 2, 3, and breathe out through your mouth, 2, 3, pause. And do 3 times really slowly. That is about 1 minute.
Why do you breathe out through your mouth instead of breathing back out through your nose?
So that is I really don't know. That works best.
Mhm.
So when you going through your nose, you really have a sensation,
Mhm.
that breathing in sensation, and
Mhm.
then you are really focusing on, you know, um, nice, great air into our prefrontal cortex.
Mhm. And you can feel it going in when you're breathing.
Hmm.
You can almost feel
And
it.
then, yeah, idea is going your negative thoughts and anything negativity going out.
Yeah.
And you can breathe through out nose, but more air going through your mouth.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
that's what I do.
That makes a lot of sense. Claire, thank you so much. You guys, we are so excited. Claire, tell us the name of your book one more time. ChampionSlip. Go ahead and tell me the full title.
Young gymnast guide to become a fierce champion on her own term.
Yes, ChampionSlip, you guys. It was the author is Claire.e.hallinan and her daughter Chelsea. I would highly recommend going and checking this out if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, if you're a parent of an athlete. There's some great tools in this book. Good luck, Claire, and thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.